But like, look at his screen. Like, it's just an empty spot to the left of Crow.
I liked it when he was happy.
Me too. It was at least a little fun. So I do have a
Jelly
topic.
jam.
It's completely random. Has nothing to
Okay.
do. So, who knows about the director Jean de Bond?
I don't.
I
I'm
do
sorry.
not either.
So he started out as a cinematographer in the 1980s. Most notably, was a cinematographer for Die Hard and The Hunt for Red October. And then they decided to, what Hollywood always does, try to take people who are specialized in one field and see if they can be a director, take control of an overall project. Normally, this ends spectacularly bad because, funny thing, people who specialize in a certain field may not know how to do those story ideas.
Oh, Frequencies in Purgatory. He says, I'm here, but stuck in between.
Go to the light.
Anyway,
Go to the light!
read out what.
Okay, continue. Read out, please.
So, his first movie he directed was Speed in 1994, which was surprisingly really good, but probably because he's a cinematographer who knows how to do action films. So Speed did really good. And then in 96, he did Twister, which was also a really good action film. Albeit, it's ironic that I feel it's slower pace in Speed, but Jean de Bond said, no, this is actually faster paced than Speed. So he had two really good, like, breakout films. And then he made Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Oh, that killed his career.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets better. And then he did the remake of The Haunting.
Oh, brother.
That was him. Poor guy.
And then
Right.
he did Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. And then we never heard from him again. He still.
Y'all remember M. Night Shyamalan, who still somehow can make movies? I don't know how he
Yes.
gets the funding, but he can still make them.
Yeah.
Listen, all I know from Emily is that he made the greatest adaptation of a cartoon ever, called The Last Airbender. I will fight everybody here for that title. Come on, fight me. Why is
vote
this
to
bad?
kick
Why is it
Stormcrow.
bad?
Vote to kick Stormcrow.
Watch the original show.
I know, but
Well, at least
but-
it's not the Legend of Horror.
I'm in a glass case of emotions.
Yeah, let's take a show, or better yet, let's take a series of books that are huge, and let's all condense them down into one movie, and we'll call it The Dark Tower.
Okay, hold up, Herman. So I've never seen the movie. I just remember the shit and just it actually being not accurate at all to the books at all, or whatever it was.
Sir, I have the misfortune of seeing the movie. Man,
Is it literally all 8 books?
It was no,
Or
I
is
don't
it
think
just-
it was. I think it was like a sequel to the damn books or something. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. I
That
really
makes
don't know
no
what the fuck they
sense
were
if it was
doing.
a sequel to the books, because if anyone knows the fucking ending, it's a repeating cycle of the books.
All right, Herman, you got to discuss this because I am so lost on this conversation.
The Dark Tower series was a series of books Stephen King wrote that were basically like was kind of like a Western fantasy horror.
Yep.
Western fantasy horror, sci-fi. It was mixed
Yeah,
of everything.
it was
time travel.
mixed everything, and it had to do with his
with Lord of the
sort
Rings.
of like his universe, his overarching universe. And I mean, there's lots of books, and the books are huge. They're not small books. They're kind of like, if I remember correctly, they're kind of like the size of the stand.
The first one, okay, so the first one is pretty small, because it was a collection of like the short parts of it that was like published in a magazine or something.
Yeah,
was basically the collection of the first book. The second one and third one are more average sized book, and then like the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are massive.
Yeah, so then
hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this guy, there was maybe long periods of time before he published the final books. I think it was 20 years, 10 years before he finished the final books or something. Right?
Well,
Because
it was like he had you can look up like the cycle, but there was like a 10-year period in between the one of them. Or
yeah,
not 10
so
years,
basically
something ridiculous.
Yeah, so basically, this guy was pulling a George R. R. Martin before George R. R. Martin made it cool.
But he
Anyway,
actually
but at the very
finished it.
least, he
Well, I
actually
mean,
finished it. Thank you.
yeah, but I mean, Stephen King was prolific,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that
so he
too.
was always writing something. But basically, what happened is I think somebody bought the rights, I think, to the series, and they gave it to Sony, and Sony said, or somebody in Sony, and I don't know what the hell drugs they were on, decided to take it all and basically condense it into one movie for about an hour and a half. And it's like, you got to be kidding me.
You
It's
can't do that.
ridiculous.
I don't even. I wouldn't even consider it's condensing all the. I think it's a fan fiction movie with just elements from all.
Yeah,
8 of
they
them.
took different pieces of elements and they just sort of stuck them in there. And it was just, I mean, it was it was kind of like a popcorn movie at best,
Yeah.
but it's like it was very typical and very formulaic, and I can pretty much tell that. I mean, I haven't read the books, but I can pretty much tell you it probably did not represent the books because there were
It
a lot
doesn't.
of books and they were
No.
huge.
They
I
did
read-
not.
I read one of the books, and from what I remembered from just the one book, I was kind of confused why they were taking certain licenses with certain aspects of certain things. And I'm like, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because somebody didn't want to make a huge, somebody didn't want to invest the time or the effort into a large like trilogy or even series of 4 because it
Herman.
was too risky.
Herman, they didn't have to do movies. I think the best thing case scenario to ever do with that series is show.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
But
a
if
animated
it's
series,
too
TV show, to
risky,
be specific.
why even make it a movie in the first place?
because
Because
Money.
it had Stephen King's name on it, and it was very
Plus, the books are actually good, and they
Yeah.
would make good movies or good show.
and
They
there's a
would.
huge following for those books, and somebody sold
I mean-
it that way. I guarantee you that.
I mean,
RH
hell.
Snow. The only thing I'll say is you will not like the ending. No one here will like the ending.
Well, it's
No.
Stephen King. You usually don't.
He can
Listen, you and
sometimes. The Shining actually ends pretty good.
Remember, Stephen King fought croquet mallet. Scary. No, I don't like that they replaced it with an axe.
Well, I mean, to
No.
be fair, a croquet mallet is pretty fucking scary when it bashes and breaks your fucking jaw and bones and shit.
Well, that part is true, but when you see it on screen as it was meant to be seen
Well,
in the
hold
miniseries,
up. That was a TV, like low budget TV show.
that King
Oh.
pushed to be created so he can have
Yes, he pushed
his
it in
adaptation.
creation. He pushed it in creation after the Stanley Kubrick's movie, but it was just
Which
because he had to
I
go
don't have
to
a problem
TV
with. I don't have a problem with an offer saying I really don't like the adaptation. I like to do it my way. No problem with that. But I'm gonna criticize it for being mid.
You can criticize the show, but if you're gonna like argue that the mallet isn't, you don't understand why he thinks the mallet's better, and it is better in the books. Fucking what's her name? Who's the name of the wife, Herman, in the books?
I don't remember the
Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy in the books, she fucking gets hit by that mallet right in her fucking the side of her face gets fucking broke.
Damn.
so
Fair point.
that's
I'll
true.
rescind my
I
argument.
never read the book.
But I find it interesting that Stephen King got all butthurt about The Shining, but yet all of his other books, like Maximum Overdrive, or actually Maximum Overdrive wasn't a book; I think it was a short story.
Which he directed that adaptation.
Yeah, and a Lawnmower Man, and there's a whole bunch of them that didn't really match the books, or kind of matched the books, but in other regards didn't. But he didn't get butthurt. I mean, Lawnmower Man was just an absolute.
Herman, do you think it could also be that Stanley Kubrick's a fucking dick and he just got
Well,
really butthurt?
I think that's what happened because Stanley Kubrick, Stephen King. Well, there's two things. I think that's when Stephen King was still doing coke, and Stanley Kubrick. He gave some suggestions to Stanley Kubrick, and Stanley Kubrick said, nodded his head, say thank you, and then blew him off. and I think he got butthurt about that. So
Which I can kind of understand because it's like you
Same.
are adapting
Well.
my material.
yeah, but he's known for like not. It seems like a lot of his movies he's known for like not giving a crap about his stuff actually adapting the material. And the Lawnmower
which is
Man was
funny.
one of them. Because I remember people were trashing that movie, saying it's nothing like the book, and he just was kind of like, yeah, well, whatever.
I think part of it is that when The Shining was written, King was still pretty early in his career, if I'm not mistaken. I know Carrie had come out, but I think he's only had like a few big titles up to that point. So I think he might have been a little more protective because it was one of his first adaptations, to where once he gets to the 80s and the drugs enter heavily and he's making so much, they just like, I don't remember that one that I wrote, so sure, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in that. I don't know.
I thought it was hilarious that Lawnmower Man 2, they recast the main character with the guy who played Max Headroom.
Wow.
Let me ask you guys this. What is the book? Let's say Stephen. Okay, let me rephrase. What, in you guys' opinion, is the book of Stephen King that can absolutely never be made onto the screen? Like, just impossible to do. What do you guys think it is?
I
Oh,
can't answer because
yeah.
I'm not a Stephen King reader.
Actually,
Yeah, I don't
the
read Stephen
correct
King.
adaptation of it would probably never get on fucking actual.
Oh yeah,
adaptation.
that's true. 'Cause it
No.
There
No
are
way.
multiple scenes that they do not adapt at all. Any of it.
For
Yeah,
reasons.
for
from what I
reasons
gathered.
they don't dare.
They
Yeah.
cannot.
No,
Read out.
I'm not-
You saw Evangelion. You understand.
I know I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but one of the ones I will tell you that was very closely adapted was Dreamcatcher.
I love
Really?
that.
That's the one that Billy Bobsack told me half a year ago when we first started talking that I have to watch.
Yes,
really?
it's a
A
good
lot
movie.
of people genuinely hate that film.
I fucking love that film.
I thought it was a good film.
I like the
I hated the
opening
book,
half.
but
I like the opening half with the group, but then once it trails off that course, it kind of just goes nuts.
In that movie, Morgan Freeman says some lines you would never expect to come out of Morgan Freeman's mouth.
Yeah.
He blows a motherfucker's fingers off for lying. I don't know. Like, here's the thing: that movie feels like Stephen King's writing. Like Herman said, it's probably
Yeah.
the most closely adapted. It fucking feels like a Stephen King story.
yeah, and that's. I'm not sure about The Mist. I don't think that's real closely adapted, but there is. I think that they worked with Stephen King on that one. And it's
Frank,
interesting.
Whoa.
Frank
it's
Darabont is the one who directed that movie, and they fucked him over on that because he was wanting that movie to actually just be black and white because it's supposed to be.
Whoa. Sorry.
And,
All right.
and
You know what?
Hang on just 1 second. And the thing here
Mhm.
is that Michael Crichton, I think Michael Crichton also wrote the book. Is that Michael Crichton? The
Thinking of
13th
Jurassic Park?
Warrior. No,
Oh.
the 13th
Yeah, that's
Warrior.
right.
He is a Jurassic Park author, yes. He
But,
wrote
I mean-
Sphere.
Yeah, he
No, I
wrote
thought, Herman,
13th
Herman
Warrior.
was going to say Jurassic Park, so that's what I was saying.
No. Michael Crichton did The Eaters of the Dead, which was the 13th
Yeah.
Warrior, and the 13th Warrior barely resembles the book. But okay,
I
Go
haven't
back-
even heard
go
of
back
that
to what you
title.
were s-
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be fair, I did read and watch the movie, and I agree with you, but the book was way freaking hard to follow. If you weren't keeping count of who was dying, it's not going to tell you.
So there are cool moments that I like. It's mainly the out of the fucking nowhere gangbang scene and the serial killer.
Which
Some of
one?
the shit he does.
Which
There's only
one? The
one
one it
out of-
or
There's only one. In it, there's only one out of the nowhere gangbang scene.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say about that actually. So how many of you have seen the movie Orphan? The Orphan.
Yeah, we've
I
seen it.
have.
Okay.
All right,
I
Snow,
literally-
that's awesome. That's the way it should be.
I fully support
Oh,
that.
you poor woman. I was just about to say I could definitely see. Man, that movie made me so fucking uncomfortable when I watched it.
Orphan?
Yeah.
None of y'all,
Oh.
anyone in here doesn't remember what Orphan is, the movie?
Oh,
I
I
remember.
remember.
Never watched
I
it.
know
I
what
didn't
it
know what
is, I
it
never
was when
watched
I
it.
turned it on. I didn't know what I was getting into.
It's not a
You
good
have no
movie.
idea. Well,
Well, it's not my
sir,
type of movie, though. I'm not one for like the
Even for my type of
suspense
movie, it's still
thrillers
not
and
good.
stuff like that.
I felt. Listen, I saw that movie when I was like 8 years old, and I never want to adopt a child ever again.
You hold on. You already adopted one?
Yeah, my dog.
He's like,
He's my
she
child.
might turn out to be a 40-year-old woman.
I know. All right, you never know when you adopt a kid. Is it going to be a 40-year-old boy in that body? Like crap.
Listen,
No
you'll
way, man.
know.
And the only one who paid any attention and had a clue was the dad. And of course, everyone's like,
No,
you're
no,
full of
no,
it.
no. The dad
No,
did
no, no,
not.
no, 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 no.
No.
Or was
dad
it the
did
other
not.
way around? It was the mother. Did I
No,
have it
the mother
backwards?
didn't even till the mother eventually started like noticing shit, but like the dad was fucking clueless. And then
Until
there
he
was that. There
Oh,
was
it's been
that.
a few.
Dad, the chick nearly raped the dad in the movie. Almost.
Yeah, and then she
She
kills
tried
him.
to seduce him.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
kills him.
There's another
Nice.
Stephen King book that or it wasn't a book, it was either a novella or a short story called The Night Flyer.
Oh
Now-
yeah, I remember
Now,
that one.
That is an awesome. I don't know about the book, and I probably should get the book, but that is an awesome movie.
I remember seeing parts of it, and it's a very intriguing story for sure, and it really keeps you on the edge of your seat when the villain comes on screen.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I have learned with most movie adaptations, watch the movie first, then read the book, or you're absolutely going to hate it.
I agree.
Herman.
yeah.
Herman,
Probably, I
I
don't
would
know.
support this notion.
I'm gonna give y'all an example that is the opposite. It is actually not that goodly adapted, but it's actually the best adaptation, which is Blade Runner and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Because
Yeah. Mm.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not a good adaptation because it still follows the same thing, but it mixes up a lot of stuff, and the main overall theme in both of them are the exact same, which is Deckard finding humanity, sympathy.
Well, although I will say, I think I kind of prefer. Listen, if Roy Body was not in the movie, I think I would prefer the androids in the book because the androids in the book are not human. They don't
Well,
even
that's
have
because the androids are okay. So the androids, the Philip K. Dick, when he talks about it, he's like, okay, I read a Nazi officer's journal, and he's like, oh yeah, this dude's like intelligent, poetry, all the other shit, really, really intelligent. And he's like, oh yeah, then he was also writing in his book like, oh my god, them fucking Jews screaming and shit because they're starving, getting burnt alive, and all this other shit, you know. And he was just writing that like as a complaint. So when he came with the
Wow.
androids, they're pure intelligence with no empathy. They're
Yeah,
bad.
and in the book, like what was his name? Pris, the android lady. Basically, she saw a spider.
I know,
That
I know what you're talking about. You know the one that like does like she looks like a ripoff of like Harley Quinn. Like if you done like a '80s Harley Quinn is what she would look like.
Yeah.
In the movie?
The one who like fucking flips and dance when
Yeah.
Roy gets, or not Roy, but Deckard gets to the place. In the books, she fucking is like picking off a spider's or an android spider legs and shit and just torturing it.
basically she was like, "Man, what does it mean 8 legs?" And just fucking starts cutting the legs with a scissor.
Oof.
Speaking of
Yeah.
books and movies, I actually both liked Jurassic Park the movie and the book, and they're
The book
fairly
made
different.
the book made the lawyer an actual like badass buff dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
superhero.
they-
Yeah, well,
yeah.
he merged two characters for the movie, the lawyer with one of the park hands. Yeah, but in the book, the lawyer took on a raptor barehanded in
Single-handed.
one.
Yep. And
What?
he helped
Took him
out
down.
and
Mhm.
they actually, one thing I noticed after reading the book is they took a lot of scenes and they added them into different movies throughout the parts. So they actually added in the scene in was it Jurassic World where the raptor gets shot with the bazooka is actually taken from the book.
But in the book, they said the raptors are about 6 feet tall, and
Yeah.
it was established early on that the lawyer was in great shape. He's always hitting the gym. He was a physical athletic type. So
Yeah, and
he was
also-
able to. He took down one raptor, and you're sitting there like, yeah, this guy's awesome. Then all of a sudden, 3 more show up, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, and he's got to
Oh,
run.
what was the name of the main park dude?
Muldoon, the drunk.
No. The owner of the park, the one who brings.
Oh,
him
that's
John
Hammond.
Hammond.
Hammond. Yeah, he's a fucking complete utter dick.
Yeah.
And, like,
oh
an
yeah,
unbelievable bastard
he's
in the book.
nasty in the book. He's completely different character.
Yeah, in the
Hammond
movie-
actually had as much
body
as he was
count's
all
way
about
higher.
the money. Hammond was he was all about
No, but he wasn't
the
about
big
the money.
cool ideas.
But Hammond
He was about
wasn't
putting on
about
the
money.
show, making people go wow.
Yeah, I know, but Hammond wasn't about the money in the movie because he's
No,
constantly
in the
like-
book he was.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I know in the book. I'm saying in the movie he was like, "Oh no, spared no expense." He didn't give a fuck. It was
Yeah.
the lawyer who was like,
He's very
"Oh yeah, we'll give
whimsical
like a
in the
coupon
movie.
or something for
they
normal
make him-
families to go."
Coupon day.
Yeah, coupon.
Yeah.
day.
I like them both.
But-
I like them both separately.
I do want to
like,
read it. I do want to read
just-
the Jurassic Park book.
I like to look at them as almost two tellings of the same story.
Yeah, so like Blade Runner and Do Andrew's Dream of Electric Sheep. It's
Yeah.
the same story and the same even overall theme is, or message is the same. It's just
Mhm.
different ways it's told.
I think honestly, Jurassic Park is more of a horror book, if I'm being honest, because I don't know if you guys remember the baby scene.
The which scene?
The baby scene, where one of the raptors escapes and like fucking eats a baby.
Oh,
I didn't know True Lies
Look at
was
that.
a book.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's in the sequel.
It just fell into my lap.
Oh
Might
no
be
no
in the
no!
sequel.
In the sequel, it's the little girl, but she doesn't get killed. She's actually still alive on the gets rescued. She just gets fucked up. They didn't even have the
Yeah.
balls to kill her.
I didn't read the sequel.
Which I think
just
I
heard
think
that.
that scene is supposed to be in Jurassic Park, the actual first book.
Well, in the second movie, they mention that she is alive. They just don't say how bad she was messed up.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
I'm
that's
just-
okay. I know what scene. Yeah.
James, isn't that a scene? in
Welcome
the
back,
first book?
Myriosphere.
Yeah, it's
One
in the
of the things
first
that-
book. It was like the opening sequence.
The greatest introduction Jeff Goldblum ever gets in a movie. Just the hard cut.
Yawning.
And then-
That was pretty
You know,
good.
in the
Yeah.
book, in the first book, Dr. Ian Malcolm was killed off, and then in the second book, it's
Yeah.
like surprise, he was just in a coma. and
Yeah,
he's
he
walking
died
with a
from
limp.
an infection to his leg that gets fucked
Yeah.
up. And then because the Michael Crichton just wrote the second one. From what I know, he just wrote the second one for the
No.
third.
For
yeah,
the movie,
second
right?
book was written purely to make a movie.
Yeah,
Let's
and
do
it was
this,
like
baby. Cash it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, Jeff Goldblum made this character too popular. I got to bring him back.
Probably, right?
Well, he
Well,
is a
that's good.
favorite character.
He really is. I mean,
He had way
because he
too
was
many,
just being Jeff Goldblum. It works for him.
I was actually really, really mad that Dominion was bad. It was hands
Yeah, I
down
didn't
bad. But they
see
didn't
it.
even bring back his daughter. I'm like, she was cool.
oh. I'm
Hey,
trying to
you.
remember. Wasn't the daughter actually supposed to be his biological daughter in that movie?
No, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
his biological daughter. Every time when I was a kid, I was like,
It's
it's
a
his
stepdaughter.
adopted daughter because she's like black,
Yeah.
black. He's not mixed at all.
and I assumed that when I was young too, because they never mention it. Because remember back then they wanted you to base the character off of who they were, not what they look like.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
When
I
I
was
recently
the same way.
rewatched it, I was like, she does actually mention that, like, it is blood. It is not
Yeah,
adoption. Like I was thinking it because when she brings up the mother and stuff.
Well, he
I
did
mean-
mention in the first one that he was quite a player, so it's not
Yeah.
surprising.
Maybe he was.
But it would be cool if they brought her back as an adult, and after the display of acrobatics we saw in Jurassic Park 2.
and then she can chastise her father about how terrible he was. And never
you
never
want-
ever
Listen,
brought it
yeah,
up.
you're right. Let's leave it be. Let's leave it be.
You know,
Yeah.
the,